It was a bitterly cold night when Daniel, a 27-year-old warehouse worker, spotted a woman shivering at a lonely bus stop. She looked elegant but out of place, dressed in a thin blouse and skirt that offered no protection from the freezing wind. Without hesitation, Daniel removed his only jacket and placed it over her shoulders. The woman, Claire, 34, was startled but grateful. She whispered a soft thank you, unaware that this small act of kindness would forever change both of their lives. The bus arrived, and their silent ride together carried an invisible bond. Daniel thought nothing of it afterward, but Claire could not forget. A few days later, she appeared at his workplace, returning the jacket neatly folded. To Daniel's shock, she revealed herself as the CEO of a growing tech company. She explained how his simple kindness had touched her deeply and, sensing his untapped potential, offered him an opportunity at her company. Daniel, though hesitant and unsure of himself, accepted. His first days at the firm were far from easy. Surrounded by polished professionals with prestigious backgrounds, Daniel felt like an outsider. He questioned whether he truly belonged. Some employees doubted him openly, whispering behind his back. Yet Claire believed in him, mentoring him closely and giving him small but meaningful projects. Daniel worked tirelessly, often through sleepless nights, balancing his job and the heavy responsibility of supporting his younger sister. The challenges piled up, and at times he wanted to quit. But he carried on, driven by a promise to himself and his family. When Claire's company faced a major crisis, one of their most important community housing projects teetering on collapse, Daniel seized the moment. Drawing from his own life of hardship, he presented designs that were practical, affordable, and filled with heart. At first, the boardroom doubted him. The pressure was suffocating, the silence unbearable. But as he spoke, something shifted. His vision resonated, and investors slowly began to see the value of what he proposed. That project went on to succeed beyond expectation, and Daniel's role in it transformed how the company was viewed. More importantly, it transformed how Daniel viewed himself. He was no longer just a warehouse worker struggling to survive. He had become a designer of hope, a builder of second chances. Claire, who once felt the crushing loneliness of leadership, found in Daniel not just an employee but a partner in vision. Years later, they stood together in front of the completed housing development. Children laughed as they played in the courtyards, families moved into warm and welcoming homes, and life filled the streets with joy. Claire turned to Daniel and said softly, "Do you realize none of this would have happened if you hadn't offered me your jacket that night?" Daniel's eyes glistened as he replied, "Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness changes everything." And in that moment, they both knew their lives had been rewritten by compassion, proving that one selfless choice could ripple out and touch countless others. It was one of those nights when the city seemed colder than usual, the kind of cold that went beyond the skin and sank straight into the bones. Daniel pulled his hoodie tighter as he walked down the dim street. The warehouse shift had been brutal, 12 hours of lifting, bending, hauling. His back ached, his hands felt raw, and every step home seemed heavier than the last. But then, at the lonely bus stop at the corner, he noticed her. She sat on the bench, arms wrapped tightly around herself, trembling against the bitter wind. She didn't look like she belonged there. Her skirt and blouse were thin, meant for a warm restaurant or office, not the freezing pavement. At midnight, her polished heels tapped nervously on the ground, her eyes distant, as though she were holding back tears. Daniel stopped. He could have looked away. He could have boarded his bus, gone home, and forgotten the stranger. But something in her eyes, something fragile and broken, held him still. Without a second thought, he slipped off his only jacket, the one he wore every single day, patched at the elbows but still warm, and placed it gently over her shoulders. "You'll freeze without something warm," he said quietly. The woman looked up, startled. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Thank you." He nodded, offering a small, tired smile. "No problem. Bus should be here soon." They didn't speak much more. They just sat there in silence, waiting for the bus. But neither of them knew that this single act of kindness would change the course of their lives forever. Her name was Claire. Claire was 34, a woman who carried the world on her shoulders. She was the CEO of a fast-rising tech company, but tonight she didn't feel like a leader. Earlier, she had stormed out of a meeting with investors who dismissed her ideas, who told her she was too idealistic. Their words cut deeper than she let on. She left her coat behind in the heat of anger, stepping into the night unprepared.